Hello and welcome back to Life is Feudal. Today I wanted to do a short guide or short beginner's guide on smithing and also a little bit talk about the two different ways in which you can make basic components like nails and the like and their different qualities. So the first thing is of course pretty easy. There are a few different stations that you can use to make or to smelt your ores and then to turn your ores into tools and the like. There is of course the basic furnace from the very beginning, which has a capacity of 100 and it can go up to a temperature of 1500, even though it says 2000 here. If I use the bellows, you can see it still only goes up to 2000 regardless. Then of course there is the upgraded version of it. It's the bloomery. The bloomery can go up to 2000 degrees and can hold up to 400 stones worth of inventory. Then once you've gotten your things from ore to a finished product, you can turn them into your tools and the like by either using the furnace, the forge and anvil, or the blacksmith shop, which I will show you later. Alright. Then, as you can see, there are various things that you can smelt. From the ore itself, you can make iron bars, iron ingots, or lumps of iron. You can make 2 lumps of iron from 1 ore. You need, as far as I know, 4 ore for 1 iron bar, and 20 for 1 iron ingot. However, if you need to make things such as lumps or ingots, I would always advise you to first turn your ore into ingots and then from ingot into lumps or from ingot into bars, because that will save your furnace or bloomery from damage, or at least it will do less damage. And as you can see, if you want to smelt, you can either do that here or by right-clicking, and then you use the only thing you need is crucible and tongs, and you can, for instance, produce an iron ingot. Or alright, then to turn them into the other things that you want, like lumps or bars, what you need to do is obviously heat it up again using the temperature of 1500 for iron ore and the temperature of 1000 for copper, and then you can obviously turn them into the things that you want. If you want to produce things such as toughened iron bars, case hardened iron bars, or steel, you need to heat up the iron ingots or bars, whichever you want to do, to the temperature of 1500, as well as the other components that you need, like brimstone, flux, or rock salt, together, and then you can smelt, and then all you have to do is select, for instance, toughened iron bar here, and then say produce, and that way you will get your iron bars. After that, after you have your ingots, bars, and lumps, you can, as I said, go over to the forge and anvil to, for instance, forge metal tools and then nails. However, one of the important things with smithing is that there are the 3 classes. There's iron, there's steel, and then there is Vostascus, and depending on which of those you use with your forging skill, they apply a debuff to the end quality. So it goes through all the various calculations for iron, and then at the end, after it's determined the quality, it applies a 40% debuff. So anything that would have been quality 100 will now suddenly be quality 60, and so on and so forth. And with steel it does this, but with a debuff of 20%. With Vostascus there is a debuff of 0. So the maximum quality you can get with iron is 60, with steel 80, and with Vostascus of course 100. However, if you want to make basic things like nails, metal components, animal traps, crucible and tongs, glass blowers tools, anything which only requires metals of any sort, so no handles and the like. For instance, even locks, which are made out of toughened iron bars. You can instead heat up your materials inside the bloomery or furnace and then make them from there directly, and you're basically smelting them from there instead of smithing them, and so you get a higher quality. To show you this, or this is especially important for nails, and I can show you this for the nails. So if I go into manage furnace, you can see I only have these 42 lumps of iron of quality 54. And now I will smelt some nails. And as you can see, I have 10 nails of the quality 59. Now if I go into the bloomery and take out 10 iron lumps, and instead go to the forge and anvil and say forge metal tools and produce the nails here instead, you can see that they only have a quality of 35 instead of 59. So quite a significant difference. So for anything that has to be good quality and is only made out of the base materials of iron bars, lumps, or ingots, or of course any other variant of it with toughened, case hardened, and so on, is easier to make in the bloomer or gets you a higher quality. The important thing is that things such as toughened iron bars, in order to get them into locks, have to be heated up to a temperature of 2000. So you can only do this in the bloomery and not in the furnace or in the forge and anvil, since all of those only actually go up to a temperature of 1500. This is also one of the interesting things. If you go into manage furnace, you can also put things into the forge and anvil, and as long as they melt below the temperature of 1500, you can of course also smelt them here. Alright, so you've seen that smelting things is better than forging them, since this applies a debuff. However, some things can't actually be smelted, such as tools, and so in order to get better quality there from not quite as good quality starter materials, you will have to use a different technique, which is the blacksmith workshop, which I'll show you, which gives you a 20% buff to the quality of your finished item. Once again, however, keep in mind that you can't go beyond quality 60 or 80 with iron or steel. So to just show you that impact, I'll go ahead and make a blacksmith's hammer at this crafting station, and we shall see the quality, which gets me about quality 45, which isn't too bad, but it also isn't too good. Quickly turn this off, and then we can go over to the blacksmith's workshop, which is down below, and I'll show you that you'll get a higher quality there. Alright, turn this on, and then I can forge metal tools here as well, and with the same materials as beforehand, I'll craft one blacksmith's hammer, and as you can see, it produces the maximum quality of 60. So even though my ingot was only quality 39 and the branch was only quality 62, thanks to the buff of the blacksmith workshop and my high level of smithing, I was able to craft a max level hammer, or at least what I can do with iron ore. One thing that is important though is that this only applies to things, or the 20% buff only applies to things which are made with the smithing skill here. So anything made with the smelting skill, so if you want to, for instance, melt iron ore here, will not get that 20% buff. Also, one thing that is interesting to note is that you cannot use the kiln, even though it goes to 1500 degrees Celsius, you can't use the kiln for smelting ore. However, you need the kiln to make the charcoal for smithing. It's the only building that can do that. That also brings us to the materials that you can use for heating up all your different workshops, which you can do with charcoal, hardwood billets, softwood billets, and sticks as well. They all do equally, or they can all reach the same temperatures. However, of course, charcoal is the most efficient to use. One other thing that is important to note is that when you're using the smelting skill, even though you're not smithing, you will still need a blacksmith hammer equipped in order to melt things such as nails, components, and the like. If you, of course, only want to turn ore into ingots or bars, you don't need the hammer, you only need the crucible and tongs. Additionally, I also want to point out at this point, always if you can, use proper tools, so crucible and tongs and blacksmith hammer, and not the primitive crucible or the primitive hammer, since the primitive hammer and the primitive crucible will apply a debuff onto your finished product. Anyway, I thank you for watching and listening, and of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comments and I'll answer them as fast as I can. Thank you for watching.